Review here. We're going to go over worksheet number 8. A couple things I want you to understand. This is a lengthy review, so I won't go through every part. As far as the answers go, I will tell you what I would do. I would reference your solution sheet of this worksheet as you go through these problems. Okay? Second thing I want you to think about is that there will not be a calculator as far as a graphing or an Inspire calculator allowed on this test. So I'll talk about that as well. On this first one, what you want to make sure you do is you take 7 squared plus 9 squared, and then you're going to take the square root of that and get the square root of 130. So the first thing we do here is that we literally just find the hypotenuse, not majorly concerned about this one. Now do your sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, your cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, and then tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you have this triangle, you should be able to go through those, and I'm going to let you reference your solution manual for that. Okay, so moving along, b is now 8 in this situation. So we want to think about this side right here being 8, and we want to think of beta being 10 degrees. Well, here's the deal. If I give you one of the angles here, sorry, that's 10 degrees. If I give you one of the angles, the other one is very simple to find. Those angles are complementary, meaning they have to add up to 90 degrees, so that alpha there is 80 degrees. So now the other thing I have to find are A and C. Well, I am going to need to use some trigonometry for these. So if I'm looking at my 10 degrees, I have 8, and I'm looking, let's do C first. So I'm actually going to have sine of 10 degrees. It's always sine of an angle equal to 8 over C. And then as we've been doing these, we're going to multiply both sides by C, then divide by sine of 10. So these actually switch places. So C is going to be equivalent to 8 divided by sine of 10 degrees. Guys, just so you know, that's an exact answer, and that's completely fine for me. If you wanted to go to your calculator, you could carry out that calculation as well. So if I was going to find A here, let me back it up, got ahead of myself, I would have to look here, 10 degrees and 8. So that's actually opposite over adjacent. So tangent of 10 degrees would be equal to 8 over A. Likewise, these two are going to switch places. You're going to have A equal to 8 divided by tangent of 10. Again, that's an exact answer right there, which I'm satisfied with. Or if you go to a decimal, that one came out to 45.4, and this one came out to 46.1. Okay, looking at the next problem, a little bit different now because we actually have a 6 here, and we have a 10 here. So you could use Pythagorean theorem there, which I know you're comfortable with. So using Pythagorean theorem, you would have a C value that actually is going to come out to about 11.7. Okay? So approximately 11.7 is your C using Pythagorean theorem. But the tricky part in this one is that you have to find the angles. Okay? So to find beta here, I do want to use the 10. I do want to use the 6. So I am going to use tangent. So I have tangent of beta equal to opposite over adjacent. So this is the same as finding tangent inverse of, and I'm going to reduce that fraction 5/3. There's an exact answer for you, but if you take that all the way to your calculator, that's going to come out to approximately 59.04 degrees. Okay, now theoretically, these two are complementary, so you could get alpha by doing 90 minus that value, as long as you're confident in this answer. But if you're going to use trigonometry, then we would want to use tangent again. But this time, tangent of alpha is going to equal 6 over 10. So if we do that, we're going to get the inverse, tangent inverse of 3 over 5. And then alpha is going to come out to approximately 30.96. And those angles do add up to 90 degrees like they should. Okay? On 4 and 5, we're giving you a little bit extra practice here, trying to get you to understand that you don't have to use trigonometry because we're asking for exact values. Well, if I give you this as 60 here, that makes this one here 30. No problem with that for finding alpha. But then, let me get a different color here. We are given one side, which is actually the 5. Well, if we remember 60, the opposite side is actually the x root 3 side. So what you want to do is you want to set x root 3 equal to 5. Because I need my x value in order to find this side and that side. So I want to get my x value alone. So I'm going to divide by root 3. Divide by root 3 here. And I'm going to end up rationalizing because I think I did so on the solution guide. So we can do that. So x is actually equal to 5 root 3 over 3. And if x is equal to 5 root 3, that means that a is equal to 5 root 3 over 3 is what I meant to say. And then c here would be double that. So c would be equal to 10 root 3 over 3. Special right triangle. And likewise here we have ourselves a 45, 45, 90. So those two sides are going to be congruent. So if I give you a 2 here, that means I gave you a 2 here. That means the hypotenuse there is 2 root 2. This is obviously 45 degrees because that's 45 degrees. So that's just using the special right triangle. Okay, now finishing up on this first page, we want to actually work through some diagrams here and answer some trig questions. Suppose the distance between you and the top of a plateau is 50 meters. So the big thing is, and I'm not going to get real fancy with my diagrams here, but you're supposed to figure out that the distance between you and the top of a plateau, if you are standing here and the plateau is here, this right here would be the distance from the base of the plateau. But it just says distance from you and the top. That's a straight line distance there, which would be 50 on the hypotenuse. Well, the angle of elevation is this guy right here. If I can get that in there. So that's 25 degrees. How high is it? So this is going to end up being a sine problem. So you're going to do the sine of 25 and set that equal to x over 50. And when you multiply both sides by 50 here, you're going to end up getting an x value that comes out to approximately 21.1 meters. And just so you know, this is completely fine right there for an exact answer of 50 times sine of 25. All right, next one. While standing on top of a roof, if you read through this problem, you need to try to come up with a diagram as such. This is going to be, and you can read through that. I would pause the video, read through that a couple of times. This is 30 feet from the top of the building to the bottom of the building. Okay? You have a friend over here. There's your friend. Your friend is actually 5.5 feet tall. So the things that we're talking about here is the friend is actually 27 feet away from the base of the building. So that's 27. But then we got to think about the whole thing about what they're saying with the friend's head. So we're going from here down to the top of the friend's head. Well, the angle of depression, I'm going to highlight here, is actually right there. That's the angle of depression, not this one right there. Well, if we draw a reference triangle as discussed here, his eyesight would go out this way. So what you got to be careful of here, and I'm going to redraw this in blue, is we're actually looking, oh, that wasn't the greatest, sorry. We're actually looking at a right triangle that looks like this, where this distance is actually 30 minus 5.5, which is actually 24.5, because this distance right here is the 5.5 discussed here. So this distance, definitely not to scale, is 24.5. This is still 27, and they're asking for what? Let's see. What is the angle of depression? So that is actually, if we continue this diagram, that's this angle. Well, that's the exact same thing as the angle of elevation. They have different names, but their values are the same because of the parallel lines and the alternate interior angles there. So actually, this can turn into, to find theta here, we can turn it into a tangent problem. Tangent theta is equal to 24.5 divided by 27. Theta is equal to tangent inverse of 24.5 over 27. So theta is coming out to approximately, that would be an exact answer there, approximately 42.22 degrees. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here, and you can pick up on the next page on another video.